yourself, it's time for Body Kindness.
The place where all bodies fit and weight is just a number.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Scritchfield, author of the book Body Kindness, registered dietitian nutritionist, and host of this podcast. And today I have the wonderful Bernie Salazar here with me once again.
Hey everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. And today is a special day because we are celebrating a book birthday. Yay! So if you haven't heard, Rebecca has literally just released her very first book, Body Kindness. And Rebecca, congratulations. I am so excited for you. I know you have worked so hard to get this out.
Thank you so much. I am so happy. It's finally, I've been joking that the book is like my third baby, and it really does feel like a special birthday. It's finally out there in the world. And yeah, I just couldn't be more thrilled to chat about it a little bit more and introduce it to people. And of course, sit in a bookstore and like secretly sign some.
Yes, how cool is that going to be? And to all our listeners out there, I mean, if you've been tuning in or if this is your first time, we really have just introduced our listeners to what body kindness is. And a lot of that has been done actually through me. Rebecca contacted me and let me know what it was that she was up to and how she felt it was going to really change the way people look at health in general. And I was all about signing on. So Rebecca, I wanted to thank you for that. But I also wanted to just let anybody know who's tuning in right now that this is definitely one of those books you need to pick up. It is going to start redefining the way that we look at health, and it couldn't come soon enough.
Well, thanks, Bernie. And yeah, I really am grateful to so many people who took part in just helping to bring it all together. I mean, it really was a labor of love, a family affair, a group effort. I mean, there's stuff in here, I mean, personal stuff from growing up, so there stuff from growing up, there's stuff from counseling clients, dish on the mistakes I made the first, probably 7 years as a dietitian. And then of course, client stories. So there's stories from clients. Some people have asked to have their name changed, but they were very generous in sharing their personal experiences in the hopes of helping other people. So there would not be any book without them and without people like you who I've met through the years who have been open to just kind of sharing what's going on in their lives and their journey and approach. And yeah, I don't know. I think that I would love to share kind of like how the book is organized and structured and everything like that. But I think at the end of the day, that to me, there's nothing else out there like it. Like, it's not just simply about follow these rules and get these results, right? Which is a lot of what we talked about. People feel like when they think about getting healthier, it kind of always goes back to appearance. And this is just not that kind of book.
Absolutely. And, that's what I'm so grateful for. And you can tell, because I just started diving into it, we literally just you shipped me out a copy of it a couple days ago. So I've just dove into it. But you can tell how personal it is and how reflective you are as a professional, Rebecca. And I love the fact that you are so open to calling yourself out. And I think that to me, that's what's allowed me to connect to it. And when you first hear Body Kindness, it's a title that I think a lot of people already have preconceptions about. So I would love for you, I'm going to put you on the spot here, being this new author and new mom to this book. What can someone who picks it up expect to learn and even begin to start taking away from what it is that this book is meant to offer?
Well, I mean, I think people are going to learn what they need to from what's offered. So, because everybody really is at a different place. So, for example, if you've made significant headway in your life with emotional eating, then what you read in there about the body kindness approach to eating might sound familiar. And that's okay, but it's personal. You kind of make it what you want, because you end up looking at it and saying, okay, what do I care about most? What do I want to work on? So it's not just information, but it's also the tools that you can use to set values-driven goals. And that's a key part of the book. It does kind of take you through a progression. So just for the highlights, for the sake of like listening, there's 4 parts. And part 1 is called What You Do. And it's basically all about choices. And it's more of the information heavy part of the book. But I mean, there's an entire chapter devoted to choices and what influence our choices, because we got to be real. We all know things like eat broccoli, it's good for you, right? Or kale or cauliflower. Like, we know about healthy eating in general. If you're a health conscious person, you just know. So, but it's really thoughts and feelings and other factors like how much time you have and other things that impact your choices, and even how humans are social creatures. So I really wanted to take sort of the complexities of how humans work, but boil it down to actionable steps that people can take. And I was very grateful when the book got reviewed by Publishers Weekly, and that was one of the things that they noticed in their review. I'll put the link in the show notes for that. But they basically said that in the review, one of the things that they appreciated most was how I took kind of complicated behavioral science and boiled it down to actionable steps. And I really wanted, not everybody can afford to see a registered dietitian, or has the time, or is ready, or lives in DC, or whatever the factors are. And I think it's a great book if you are seeing a dietitian or a therapist. It's a great accessory tool. When I work with clients, I work with them with a lot of books as kind of like a book club workbook and everything like that. So it absolutely could be used in that capacity, or it could be used as a starting point if you kind of feel like you want to turn in your Diets Are Us lifetime membership card.
Nice. Yes. Definitely turn those in.
For like something sane and realistic that actually works. And it's why on the back, we were coming up with what to put on the back. And I said, how about Body Kindness Works? Because sometimes you just have to tell people it works and they'll buy it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And you know what? We're going to make sure we say that a couple times throughout this episode, because body kindness does work. And I definitely can say that I feel so much better about myself, and I care so much more for myself as a result of this podcast, actually, which has really gone hand in hand a bit with you. Not only, I felt like you were writing as we were putting this together, and you started it before the podcast even, and I can definitely say that body kindness works, because I'll tell you what, I just feel so much better about myself as a person, and that's really trickled on over to my relationships with my family, and that to me is just the best part of all this.
Well, that actually brings up a good point. I don't know if you are open to it, but I would love for you to talk a little bit more about kind of our history of our relationship and kind of how we met and
absolutely
lost touch and got back in touch.
Yes, I know. It's funny how life works. Rebecca and I met at a conference, up on the hill, advocating for, I believe it was more activity in schools for children. And it was around the sports, not just apparel, but sports equipment type industry. So we were both asked to go and advocate for funding for health programs for kids. And am I right when I say that, Rebecca? I know I made it lengthy, but that's pretty much where we met. And Rebecca met me at coming right off of the show, and I was just on cloud 9, and I was bouncing around, and I think I even had a skinny tie on to match the body that I thought was perfect back then. And we spent a good amount of time really spreading the message of health together. We had the opportunity to speak in front of some really wonderful organizations and businesses. I mean, there were some big names in there, and Rebecca always kind of served to me as just a solid a solid source of information that kept me very responsible for what it was that I was sharing with people. Because I'll be honest, and you guys might be surprised to hear this, but people on reality shows don't always know what the heck they're talking about. I know, surprise, right? But I felt it as an educator so important to make sure that I was paired with somebody, and thank God she was up to it as well. I was paired with somebody who really knew what they were talking about. It was, you're such a professional. You read more than I think so many people do about everything that's going on, everything that's out there. And I remember having some serious conversations with you about the responsibility that both of us had to make sure that we were putting the right information out into the world, because it's so easy to just slap your name on something that's a quick fix and people buy into, or, I just want to personally thank you for kind of making sure that kind of keeping me in check, because I think after having an experience like I had, it's so easy to just kind of sign on to something. Mm-hmm. That being said, we went out, we did some great presentations. I feel like we really connected with a lot of individuals, and we lost touch for a bit due to just family growing. I got married. I know that you were continuing to grow your practice. Both Andy, her husband, and her had children. I just had my baby. So kind of time split us apart, but we reconnected going on a year ago. And it was one of those things where I don't know if I had reached out to you first or you reached out to me, but I just remember that it was right in the nick of time, because I was seriously starting to question what health was. I was at a very low point, to be honest, in my life when it came to my health. I had gained the weight back and had associated that with all and out complete failure. And I do believe it was you that called, and I remember the phone ringing, and I just kind of remember just literally verbally vomiting on you about how I just failed and how I didn't even want to face people that I had previously known, or it was just bad news. And Rebecca said, well, guess what? It's time that you just realize that you're not a failure. And as a matter of fact, I'm starting this new podcast, and I'm in the beginning stages of writing this book, and I have changed the way that I've looked at this. Not just changed. I think that by that point, Rebecca, you've always been ahead of the curve when it comes to really pinpointing what true health could look like and should look like. But I think you had finally decided that you were going to be one of the authorities in this field and put something out there. And I was so excited to hear it. And I was a bit skeptical. And I'm going to go ahead and put that out there just because I was so inundated with what society had told me health should look like. And I wasn't sure what body kindness meant, or if I was even capable of it, because I was in such a dark place when it came to health. That's a quick summary, Rebecca. What did I leave out? Because I'm an open book, literally.
No, that's great. I mean, I appreciate everything you said. And when you're talking about being a skeptical, I was like, how could you not be skeptical? Because we are all kind of talking about draining the swamp. We are in the swamp of diet culture.
Well, absolutely. And not just that. I'll be honest. The reason why I said yes to the podcast and, was open to kind of unpacking myself on this podcast was just because of our friendship and the trust that I had in you. And again, knowing that you had always served as a very positive and responsible guide in every presentation. People, let me emphasize this. In every presentation that Rebecca and I ever gave, there was so much care and research and practice. My gosh, did we practice to make sure that it was delivered responsibly and it was delivered correctly, that it was delivered enthusiastically, and that we believed that what we were putting out there was best for the person, the client. And that's why I said, all right, Rebecca, I'll try body kindness. And I can honestly say that I'm a believer. I know that I'm still in this journey. By no means am I, do I have my body kindness graduation certificate. I'm still unpacking what it means, but I can honestly say that I feel better about this process and about the journey ahead. It's no longer clouded with negativity, and I just like myself a lot more. I really do.
Good. You're saying so many good things, and I'm taking mental notes. Like, don't forget to respond this way, that way. So I'm gonna forget. And it might sound like a pinball machine bouncing around, but I wanted to first of all thank you so much for all the accolades about speaking. And the second it's funny. I hear you talking, and I'm looking back on those days as part of what I would put in my mea culpa bucket. And I think the most self-compassionate thing I can say is quote Maya Angelou, who said, do the best you can, but when you know better, do better. And the reality of it is I have been through a lot personally and professionally. For the majority of my life, I have been in my head about my body and nothing being good enough. And even when I became a dietitian and what I did with people, I thought it was helping them. Even when we were giving speaking engagements, like, yes, I don't doubt that I did my best around the science, but I know that back then I didn't even know about health at every size. I didn't know what it meant to be weight neutral or fat positive, or, I just didn't know,
No, absolutely. And I'm going to jump in right there because what I always saw in you, and the reason why, again, I'm coming from an education background. I love education. I have my master's in education. And for me, it's just being open and willing to look for what is out there that is better, is safer, is the right direction. So although, some of the things that we may have shared back then, we have now really changed and shifted our way of thinking, it was at the time still ahead of the curve. And that to me was what was important.
Yeah. And there was some good stuff in there about emotional, stuff that carries on. And I think the general idea, I just think that we were still selling weight loss. Like, if we're 100% honest, I think we were still selling weight loss as the goal and not necessarily selling it's really not about your weight. And I feel like,
yes, but at the same time, and I go back and forth because, at the same time, and this is what we're dealing with now, even, Rebecca, is companies that brought us in or individuals that hired us, they didn't want or weren't ready to hear what this body kindness podcast is about, and this body kindness movement is, and your book is going to be about. And that's what I love, is if we had never done that, and you had never, gosh, even, the way that the experiences you've had in your own practice professionally, we would not be here. And I love that it almost feels, and I'm just going to be selfish and put this as it relates to me, I have lived every step of what we have done through the engagements, speaking engagements that we have to even now. And that's why I can say wholeheartedly that body kindness and this approach is the best that I felt about myself throughout our entire relationship together. And that's why I'm such a big advocate for it now, because let's face it, our listeners out there, you guys have tried dieting. You've done it. On some form, you have done it. But at the end of the day, I remember feeling that I was still deficient in some way. And that's not the case. Just because you eat a cookie or a certain size or does not make you a bad person. There's plenty of things that make you can make you a bad person. Those are not one of them.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned feelings a couple different times, and that is the second part of the book is called How You Feel. And it's essentially a few chapters that helps people understand and kind of get to know their emotions a little bit better and the purpose of emotions, because when we understand something, we're less afraid. And it's actually in the fear of our emotions that can lead to a lot of self-sabotage, or, what I call like downward spiraling, which, what we're trying to do in body kindness is the opposite and create these upward spirals. And that's something you'll see as a theme throughout the book. There's an early reflection in the beginning of each chapter that talks about spiraling up. you mentioned earlier not knowing what body kindness is, and I thought that through actually. So it's obviously defined in the book, and there's 3 pillars: love, connect, care. And if you want to know more about it, there's a couple things you can do. You can flip through it at a bookstore, which I highly recommend because we all need to be supporting our local bookstores. You can also check out some of the previews. Like if you go on Amazon or online retailers, you can click through and look at the preview chapters and pages and get a sense of the infographics that are in there and kind of how the content is laid out. You can also sign up for my training that I have that's free. So it's an online training. If you go to bodykindnessbook.com, you basically give your name and email address. You are going to get a free web-based training that is focused on 5 health rules to break right now. And it's kind of a quick way to get you started in the mindset of body kindness. You will also get a free health and happiness journal, which is a tool I use with clients. I mention it in the book, but it's not reprinted there just because I knew I could give it on my website. But it is a way that you can track, everything about body kindness is grounded in awareness and mindfulness. It's in this idea that we need to be aware of what's happening in order to make that next choice that's going to be good for us. And so this is a way without calorie counting or kind of like obsessing over numbers that you can generally track things that are important to you each day around food and fitness and sleep and even kindness. Was I kind to somebody else? Was I kind to myself? So that is part of the training package. And then also the publisher has released a sample chapter. So that is something that you could definitely check out now today. If you go to bodykindnessbook.com, give your email and you'll get all those resources. And yeah, it really will be this tool that you can use no matter where you're at in your journey. And it's going to be a guide. It is, the truth is, I don't really think that, well, no, I know for a fact changing your habits are not easy. Change takes commitment and time and patience and a sense of self-awareness, and like how you're talking about you like yourself more. You can tell that you're changing. Your mind is changing. Your thoughts are changing. And that happens with commitment. And the book is set up in a way to kind of help you get there. The third part of the book is called Who You Are. And I referenced values-driven goals earlier, but this is how you're actually going to set these tailored blueprints based on your interests and your time and what you want to work on day to day, week to week. So I've got those tools in there, and you're going to learn through the way clients have learned and their mistakes and their successes to kind of help guide you through that. And besides those infographics, there's also activities that are a little bit, they're called spiral up activities, and they're designed to kind of help you progress in that particular chapter topic. And the last part of the book is called Where You Belong. And this is just, I wish it were longer. I feel like it could have been longer, but we did have a page boundary I had to adhere to. But there are, and I could talk forever. But it's a couple of chapters that really helps you understand the value of connection in your life. And it really is a basic human need to belong and to connect to others. And we all have connections that don't necessarily serve us, and we have to really take a look at those and decide if they're the ones worth nurturing. And also the reminder that we don't have to be healed or ready or whatever it is we're looking for. We don't have to be that person yet in order to engage with the people we care about and do meaningful things.
And that to me is so important. And I just want to pause right there because I know that myself, I have done this. I know that, and I'm going to call out some past contestants on the show that I was on. I know that you're out there and maybe you're not necessarily connecting with the people that you love or that love you because, maybe you're not feeling very happy with yourself and where you're at. And that's just hooey. That's just crap. I love that point, Rebecca. It's one that's so important. Guys out there, I want to make sure that you're understanding that this book is a great book for you to gift to the loved one in your life. But before you do that, read it because I think it's going to make you a stronger guy. It's going to make you connect better with the loved ones in your life. And it's up to us to also make sure that we're expanding and changing the way we look at health for ourselves and our families.
Yeah. Well, I did want to bring up the video that's out as well, the Body Kindness video, which launched today, the same day as the book. And you were the one in the video actually who said, I think it's time that this country rethinks health and fitness and wellness. So
we have to. It's what's out there isn't working. This industry is getting bigger and it's preying upon our insecurities. And I'm out there and I'm angry right now. This is anger because the truth is no one deserves to feel bad about themselves. We really need to start connecting with ourselves, being kinder. And yes, we have to change the way we look at health.
Yeah. That's my, I feel like I finally nailed the one thing that would have helped me as a young girl taking Dexatrim and lots of other things and diety things to just all the stuff and clients. The one thing is to draw a firm line that appearance is not health. And
Exactly.
we completely have conflated it. And I mean, it's just not. It's health is health, and it's well-being, and it's mind and body health. And we have to care about both. And judgment, bullying, negativity, stigma, it only hurts everybody. It hurts the fat people that you're supposedly, trying to help.
Yeah.
It hurts other people who are afraid of becoming fat because fat is supposedly this terrible thing, one of the worst things you could be. And I really kind of feel like when you draw that line and say appearance is not health, you can define what your version of health looks like, because it does change over time, and bodies change over time. Personal interest changes over time. And it's just, I think, kind of changing diet culture is going to be a slow process, but it will happen. It is happening. The train has left the station. But
Amen.
I know. And the best you can do is starting and working with yourself. And, body kindness is going to help you do that. It's going to help you make progress and silence the inner critic and deal with those negative voices that are in your own head that have been, you weren't born with that. You weren't born with hating chunky thighs or round bellies. All that stuff is conditioned. And what I found through the years is that no matter what you look like, it's possible to be at war with your body. And actually, Leslie in the video says it's so common that people just think it's normal. I do hope people take a look at this video. And I want to share that, these were people I asked to be in it. Almost everybody were clients, just clients, people I trust. I worked really hard to get a diversity of education and experiences in the video, and it's longish, I would say.
No, it's not. It's perfect. It's 5 minutes, guys. 5 minutes of your time can really help to start changing the conversation around health in this country. And it starts with you being open to it. Because, again, this isn't, gosh, I'm going to go ahead and put it out there. This isn't just for you. This is for the loved ones in your life. And I think it's about time that we start really being open to changing this conversation. Like Rebecca said, it's not like we were born with some of these preconceived prejudices that we have against body types. Some of the most amazing people that I know don't look as though they would be on the cover of a magazine, but they're doing some incredible things with themselves, and they're not letting body image hold them back, or what society says they should look like hold them back.
Yeah. And I think that there's something that people question about. They just naturally gravitate toward, well, if we don't set weight goals, or if we accept all bodies like you're saying, well, what does that mean? That nobody's going to be motivated? And that is a big myth.
I agree. I'm jumping in just because, you know what, ever since our time on this podcast, again, I like myself more. I want to feel a certain way because it's the kind thing to do to myself. That has led to increased time with my new family, with my daughter, and it's led to experiences that maybe I would have been ashamed to get out and do before. And it sounds It sounds at first like, oh my God, what is he talking about? But I literally I felt stagnant before I started really diving into being kinder to myself. And I think that, again, this conversation is going to really be uplifting for not only you, but the people around you.
Yeah. One of my clients who is in the Body Kindness video and in the book too, she said, early on when I was kind of talking to people, we were talking about relationships, and she said the most important relationship is the one you have with yourself. And she may have been quoting somebody, but I agree with her wholeheartedly, and I think that if you can just create a little bit of space, diet culture is going to be there, but it's not helpful to you right now.
Yeah.
So you just ignore it the best you can, but don't engage with it because it's not helpful. There may be family or people in your life that you literally cannot cut out, and they're not helpful either. I've dealt with that with clients.
Yes, yeah, I get it.
And so boundaries become important.
Yep.
You can continuing to avoid concerns you have, even if you have a weight concern. If you're sitting here listening and it's just like, well, wait a minute, I really do need to lose weight. You don't understand. I've gained weight recently. I just want to say, I understand. I think that body kindness is the best tool for anybody who wants to improve their mind and body health and truly create a better life. If that is ultimately your goal, body kindness is the best approach. And I just will not make any weight loss promise. I refuse, because you don't deserve that. You can go somewhere else and get that BS. But it's just not about that. And it's not fair to the thin people who want to have a better life too, but who don't have weight concerns,
Exactly.
So
But and here's the thing too. You're more likely to do something for someone you like than someone you don't like. Yeah. And that's how I view this. It's like, you know what? I like myself so much more now. And as a result of that, there's so many things that I'm going to do to enrich my life, whether that be more active, eat smarter, spend more time with loved ones, whatever it is that I need, I'm going to do because I like myself. Where before, I can genuinely say that I didn't like myself. So, no, I'm not going to do those things. You don't deserve those things, or I really don't want to hang out with that person, let alone myself. So that's how I see it. You're more likely to do right by people you like. So why not put yourself on the top of that list?
Right. Yeah. And yeah, I just think that it's something that is, like I said, unlike anything else out there as far as what we were able to bring together and how we were able to bring it together. And it's a great guide. And besides that, we have the podcast that we're doing here and lots of other resources and everything like that. But one of my hopes is that people decide to bring it into their book clubs. And there's a spot on my website, if you're into book clubbing, where you can actually contact me and let me know that you plan to book club it so we can get in touch. I have a discussion guide that will help. And I'm also interested in hearing from other different types of groups like teachers. My best friend's a teacher and she has a story in the book. So I plan to talk to her, but I want to hear from teachers and other people who are responsible for shaping young minds. I'm very, very interested in hearing from you and talking to you and trying to figure out how I can possibly create some tools and resources that will help you help others with the body kindness philosophy and mindset in mind. So we always appreciate hearing from any listener and, want to welcome everyone who's new. Would really love it if you left a comment on iTunes and a review. And my phone is ringing. Sorry about that.
I just want to jump in really quick. Rebecca had talked about, maybe having some educators, share this with their students. My gosh, as an educator, I couldn't agree more with it. I think that if we're going to start changing the conversation, we need to start with our newest generations, because I really feel that this is such a powerful tool and conversation to have. I think that it can really help out with so many issues that a lot of our children, unfortunately, are having to face now, whether it be bullying around appearance or again, body shape. Wow, this could be really, really fantastic for that. Any educators out there, if you know an educator, this would be a great thing to share with them.
Well, thank you for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to work together on something, Bernie.
Let's do it. I'm all about it.
Stage again.
I am all about it. I am.
All right. Well, we will go ahead and wrap up this show for you guys today. And we will be back with you sooner rather than later because it's the time of year we all love to hate, the new year, where we need to start working on resolutions.
The dreaded time of year.
So, but fear not, because we have some fun. I am a resolution setter, but that is a topic for the next podcast. But it will be definitely the non-diet type and the better life
that I'm
type.
excited about it. Then I'm excited. Then
Cool.
We're good. So
Okay.
we'll be doing that podcast when, Rebecca?
It will be out the first week of January. I may have it ready for New Year's Day, and that would be awesome.
Perfect.
But definitely check it out the first week of January. So I'm shooting for New Year's Day. We will see if, you and I have to get on the calendar and make sure we can make it happen. But thank you, Bernie, so much. Truly, from the bottom of my heart. I mean, and I say this to you directly and as a representative of every person who was in the video, who was a story in the book. I mean, this book is you, and it is what it is because of you, because of being willing to just show up and be real and be honest. And I know that your time and effort and words will pay off in many ways. You will help so many people that can relate to you or your experience or something you've said. So to you, to everybody who helped make this book I mean, I just cannot thank you enough for being part of the Body Kindness team and the very important voices that we need to have out there so we can continue to build and grow some positivity around health and well-being.
Well, thank you, Rebecca, for giving me an opportunity to be a part of this because, again, we had connected at a time where I definitely knew that what was on the market, what was out there just was not it. And this is a tremendous conversation to start having. Body Kindness, for our listeners out there, please be sure to pick up this book. I'm telling you, if you feel like nothing else has worked, Body Kindness is going to be life-changing for you. And you can pick it up, guys, on Amazon. Go to Target. Email me personally. I will make sure that we get you copies of this book. I am so excited about this being put out there. And Rebecca, thank you for writing it.